In other news, the Colts did drop down to 80 on their roster. They made 4 more cuts. Again, they do have a designated roster spot for Marcel Dabo, but the 4 cuts they made were wide receiver DJ Montgomery, defensive tackle Kavion Patton, center Alex Mollett, and running back CJ Verdell. So those guys, unfortunately, are gone. Their journey with the Colts in preseason ends. We'll see if they can, get picked up by some other team. Maybe they end up back. I have no idea. But as of right now, the Colts are now down to 80 at the roster now. So before, what's up? No, I thought you were saying something. Okay. My fault, guys. I'm over here listening to Ghost. Apparently, I got Ghost here in.
You just missed me already. I was muted for a few seconds. You just needed to check in on me.
I needed to check on you. I got to make sure you're safe and everything. Everything going good, though, at home?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm glad you checked in, though. I really feel loved over here.
Absolutely. Well, this show is sponsored by Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code BStable20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code BStable20 at manscaped.com. It's smooth sack summer, boys. Get on board or get left behind. All right, guys. So now the preseason, week 2 of the preseason has come and gone. You can see right here on these graphics, the Colts did take the L 26-27. But as you can see, again, if you're looking on these graphics, don't forget to subscribe, by the way. All these graphics, Sam Ellinger, Desmond Patman, Mike Strachan, Sterling Weatherford, these guys had days. They had a great day. And we're going to talk. Each of us are going to have 2 players ready for you on whose stock went up. Before we get into that, if you guys have players that you think their stock went up and we don't happen to mention them, drop those names down in the comment section below. We will get back to those comments, and we can't wait to see what other guys you have in store, because if we're not thinking about them and you guys are, please let us know. Again, if you guys have names that you think have improved their stock of making the roster, drop those names down in the comment section below. Dustin, let's start with you, buddy. 2 guys whose stock went up after Saturday's loss in the preseason.
Yeah, I'm going to start with just one of my guys that has kind of been on my list throughout the entire offseason that I've been excited to see how his growth was going to be this year. And that's going to be Will Fries. I think Will Fries has tremendously improved in pass pro already in this second year. I think you can see it. You can see the strength and that upper body strength that he's been able to play with in that left guard spot. And I just think he's held his own with that second unit. You just really haven't seen him be an issue at all. And I mean, that's a solid addition to the second unit right there. If he can be that solid piece, if he has to come in for spot playing time here and there, I think he's a guy that can play anywhere in the interior, left guard, right guard, maybe a little bit of center looking at the body type there. And he even has experience playing tackle back at Penn State. And versatility is the thing that's going to skyrocket these guys. But I think that Lions game just really showed that Will Fries can play in this league, and I'm excited to see what this year looks like for him in the bigger role in that second unit. And the second person whose stock is up, Michael, is Sam Ellinger. I said it. If you follow me on Twitter, you are flabbergasted right now.
Can you say that one more time for me?
Say it again. Hold on. Mic check, everybody. Can y'all hear us? Can you hear me? Rashad, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
My second player whose stock rose.
Look at the camera.
After the Lions game is quarterback. We're back out of Texas. Wow. Sam Ellinger.
Wow.
I mean, even as the guy who is just patent not liking Sam Ellinger, lived in Oklahoma City for a while. During the years he was at Texas, adopted Oklahoma as like my second college team. I was right down the street from Old Norman, and Sam Ellinger just didn't like him in college, didn't like his tape in the draft, ends up on the Colts. So obviously I've had my negative biases there. But the guy's played through preseason, man. I mean, he looks comfortable, way more comfortable than this past year. I think you see a little bit more velocity in his throws. And I just think he looks like a guy who can be a backup in the NFL level. If you asked me this time last year if I thought Ellinger could be a solid backup in the NFL for years to come, I would have told you no. I just didn't think he had the talent to do so. But you watch him under center this year, and he just looks comfortable. He looks like he understands Frank Reich's offense maybe better than anyone in the room already. He just looks like he's able to execute it to a T. He's able to move in the pocket well. He's able to find the open men. Do I think he's going to throw weapons open often? No. Do I think he's going to do anything tremendous to elevate the unit he's on? No. But I do think Sam Ellinger has proved this offseason to haters like me and others that he can be a backup at this level. Now, do I think he's going to be a backup in Indianapolis? No. Do I think he makes the 53-man roster? No. Had to throw in those cons. But Sam Ellinger's stock is for sure up, in my opinion.
Oh, he just had to throw it in there, Rashad. He just had to throw it in. He couldn't let the Sam Ellinger lovers be here for a while.
That was a lot of positivity for me, okay?
He had to raise him up in the elevator and then cut the cord, bang. Just had to drop him.
Wouldn't be destined if he didn't do it that way. The stock risers that I have, first I'm gonna go with somebody that's pretty obvious, pretty front door. I'm gonna go with Mike Strong. Ever since he came back from his injury, you know, I know he had a couple of drops at training camp, minor issue, but since he got out there on the field, man, he just made it look so easy. It looks effortless with him. It looks like he doesn't even belong out there with the people that they had him lining up against. Mike he's right back the way he was last year in training camp, but hopefully, you know, he took a step mentally, you know, as far as digesting the playbook, learning what to do with routes, learning how to sit in the soft part of zones and different things like that, things he's going to need to know how to adjust on the fly mid routes and different things that he struggled with last year. But he looks like the guy, man. He definitely alleviates some of that pressure because everybody was wondering what the Colts were going to do at wide receiver 5 and wide receiver 6. So I think he's definitely solidified himself in one of those spots, and he would definitely be on this roster when it comes down to the 53-man roster. Another guy is a guy that I won't say his stock was ever down, but he was injured and he came back. I'm going to go with Tyquan Lewis. Tyquan Lewis came back. He looked like himself again. You know, I was worried about that injury. It was a serious injury. I believe it was a patella. And he came back and he's just back to himself, man. It was times last year where Tyquan looked like the best pass rusher on this defensive line in the beginning of the season. He got hurt in such a tragic way for him and a tragic way for the team. You know, that was the game that kind of swung the momentum of the season a little bit. But he's back now. He dominated in the preseason game. We didn't need to see much of him, but the little we did see, he was fabulous out there, man.
See, that's interesting. My thought on Mike Strachan, I'm not sure if it was just me, but it looked he had this aura about him, this perception about him that I've been here. You know, I've been here before, and he did play pretty well in last year's preseason games. He looked a step ahead of everybody. Like, you don't normally see that from a guy who's coming into his second year, who played zero amount of snaps in his rookie year. On Saturday, he just looked like a natural. Everything flowed well for him. Everything was smooth going for him. Like, everybody else was struggling. Everybody else was trying to catch up. Mike Strachan was just, he was just out there running routes, catching balls, obviously well-placed passes by Sam Ellinger, of course. And that's my take on Mike Strachan. He just looked like he belonged, and maybe he should have been a guy that was also taking the day off, like a Michael Pittman, like other starters on the offensive line, and Matt Ryan. So that's good stuff on Mike Strachan. Tyquan Lewis, again, we're glad he's back. He looked really good. My two guys, I'm going to go with Rodney Thomas. Now, again, yeah, he's my guy, and I'm sticking with him. Okay, yeah, hate me all you want, but I'm going to go with Rodney Thomas. On the previous show, I did speak about him getting minimal run in Buffalo. He wasn't really challenged too much. He got the start on Saturday. Okay, he got the start on Saturday, and I didn't know what to expect. He still didn't get challenged as much in the passing game, but what he showed is he can come down, even if he's 20 yards off the ball, 20 yards off the line of scrimmage, he can come down and make some tackles. Like, Destin, this guy's angles, his tackle technique was much better than a lot of people thought it would be as a rookie. And again, this guy was not expected to make the roster. I've been saying he could. He definitely has a chance to make it because that's just what it showed on tape. It just looks natural to him as the athlete that he is. And it was kind of similar to Julian Blackman. Chris Ballard called Julian Blackman a natural free safety because of how athletic he is, how well and smooth he plays the position coming out of Utah. Rodney Thomas reminded me a little bit of that, not as, crisp, not as, as long in his game as Julian was as a rookie, but what he was able to show, those tackles getting up to the line of scrimmage, that was just like I was watching a vet out there. He had good open field tackles and he didn't panic. I don't think he out of all the attempts, the 4 tackles, he didn't miss one. He wrapped up, he made the tackle, he got low. That's what I want to see from a rookie safety who could carve out a role in the safety 4 spot and could be a play away from being a starter on this defense. So, and again, knocking on wood, hoping all the injuries are behind Julian Blackman. So that was my take on Rodney Thomas. I was very pleased with his performance on Saturday. My second guy is going to be Forrest Rhyne. This guy, he missed. He's been, dealing with an injury lately, but he missed Buffalo, the preseason opener. And then he started this game alongside EJ Speed and absolutely wreaked havoc. 9 total tackles, a tackle for loss, and a pass breakup, basically. This guy was pretty good. He was pretty good. He was all over the place. I tweeted it out on Saturday watching him and EJ Speed. They're all over the place. They're getting into their holes. They're sticking to their gap assignments. They're sticking there. They're getting off blocks and they're making tackles. The defensive line, the interior got beat up a little bit. So everything was really on Forrest Rhyne and EJ Speed to be able to stop that run. Not necessarily stop, but limit the run. Let me say that. Forrest Rhyne was all over the place, man. I was surprised to see him get the start over the guys like JoJo Domann and Sterling Weatherford, even though those guys did play majority of the game. Forrest Rhyne surprised me, and he needed this big day, especially after missing some time in camp, missing the Buffalo game. Saturday was a huge game for him. He looked like he belonged. Again, you're playing the 2s and everything, but if you're standing out like that against the 2s, you made a case for yourself to be able to try and make the roster or convince them to bring you back on a practice squad. And again, you still have a job, you still have a home, you're still part of an organization, can get called up at any moment. So those practice squad spots are valuable.
Yeah, I mean, and those are 2 positions that you just named that are going to be good spots to be on the rise for, because that safety 4 spot is not decided. There's multiple guys that are options. I think Rodney Thomas, again, is who I would go with, like you were saying, for a lot of reasons, and the upside that's there. I just think puts him above a lot of the other guys. Armani Watts is a guy who special teamer the team may decide to go with for whatever reason. So Roddy Thomas moving in the up direction is a huge thing for his game at this point. And Forrest Rhyne, I mean, you mentioned it, but early on in training camp, he was having a very, very good camp. Ends up getting hurt, had to take a little bit of a step back, heal up. And a lot of other guys started to show out a little bit, which is always the biggest fear of missing time in training camp. Is, man, I was showing out and I leave the field and I'm giving all these other guys opportunities. And Forrest Rhyne, I think, needed a good game on Saturday, went out and did it. And the linebacker room, that's going to be one of the hardest ones. I'm really excited to see what they do.
Yeah, I know there's there could be some questions out there like, oh, well, could they just keep 7? You just don't need 7 linebackers. You don't. You're not going to be in the traditional 4-3. You're going to be in the nickel. You need 2 linebackers. And at maybe even 6, keeping 6 linebackers is pushing it. You already have your vet and Zaire Franklin. You already have EJ Speed. Shaquille Leonard is gonna miss some time. Now, how much time we don't know. Is he gonna be out there week 1? We don't know. But 7 linebackers.
Would you rather keep 7 linebackers This is just a few spots that you could say this about. So
Okay.
just to give you a few, I'll ask a question. You can answer yes or you can answer which. So would you rather keep 7 linebackers or 3 quarterbacks?
7 linebackers. I'll do 7 linebackers.
Would you rather keep 7 linebackers or 4 running backs?
I think I'll still do the 7 linebackers.
So I agree on both of those, just to let you know. So at this point of the tight end room, obviously we were going to keep 4 with Ogletree. Ogletree's out for the year. Now, looking at it, would you rather keep 7 linebackers or 4 tight ends?
I think I might go 4 tight ends. Well, are they going to bring in somebody? I'm not sure if a guy like Michael
that's
Jacobson.
What I'm saying. It's about who's here.
Yeah, like Michael Jacobson, does he show enough to, say, hey, I can have a roster spot? Are you going to give a roster spot to Michael Jacobson or prioritize that to somebody who has a better, input or impact on special teams? And I think the linebackers might take that one.
Because of who's in the room, I would go 7 linebackers as well. I think they're going to want to use all those tight ends to the point that they should have a 4th tight end, unless you're going to try to use the big body receivers in a way to kind of cancel that out. So would you rather keep 7 linebackers or 6 receivers? Because there's now the talk about if it's 5 or 6 receivers.
Well, I know Ashton Doolin is one of them. Well, he's
That's
taking
4.
on a larger role in the wide receiver, so he may take a step back in the special teams. He may be asked to take a step back. 6 wide receivers or 7 linebackers. I think right there, I'll go with the receivers, honestly. I think I'll go with the receivers because of, those 2 guys, Desmond Patman, who had a great day on Saturday. I think Desmond Patman showed you something in the receiver game that you could use. If you know that Paris Campbell's history shows that he won't be available for probably more than 50% of the season, I think keeping those 6 wide receivers is more impactful than keeping the 7 linebackers, even though Shaquille Leonard has some injury issues. You still have guys because you're only using 2 linebackers all the time. You're probably using 3, maybe 5 plays a game, probably. So I think I would go the 6 wide receiver route, honestly.
So I agree. So I think we agree across the board there. But I guess the point of that conversation is I think 7 linebackers is an option that people just aren't talking about enough. Because, right. I really think 7 linebackers is more likely than a lot of those others that we just mentioned. I think 6 receivers is the one that I agree with, that they would go receiver before they would go that 7th linebacker. But then you mentioned Doolin's going to take a step back from special teams. So then that linebacker spot, all those guys can go play special teams. I don't know. It's a area and a number. The 7 linebackers is something that I think people should watch a little bit more.
And man, Chris Ballard and his staff are so damn good at these evaluating linebackers, man. They are so damn good. I've been watching some preseason games. There are some teams out there that could use some middle linebackers. Green Bay, like after their starting middle linebacker, who else? Like, they're not confident in that room right now. So do we want them to hey, we'll take this guy when you waive him? I don't want that to happen, honestly, man. These linebackers are sound. They're good as rookies, man. They're good. JoJo, Sterling, Forrest, I just mentioned him. They all had good days, man. I think at first you were already looking at Sterling Weatherford and JoJo Doman, but Forrest Ryan, that game on Saturday, he re-entered the conversation. So he's kind of like a Sam Ellinger. He hasn't given you a reason to cut him yet, and he made sure of that on Saturday. So that's some good talk. If again, these guys that we just mentioned, if you want to talk more about Sam Ellinger, put it down in the comment section below why you think he should or should not make the roster. No, we don't want no crazy things of, oh, he's the future. He's not, okay? I think that he could be a potential backup, but put down in the comment section who you think Sam Ellinger can be over the course of his potential career.